If you're a real estate agent thinking about joining a team, this is one of the biggest career decisions that you'll make. And honestly, choosing the right team can either accelerate an agent's growth by years or can decelerate, waste years of an agent's life or business life as well. So it is a big decision. So in this video, I wrote down 4 things to take a look at, to consider when you're interviewing team leaders or teams, to make sure that you put yourself in an environment that's really aligned with what you're trying to do from a business perspective. So if you go through each of these four things with a little bit of time as you're going through the interview process, that will really increase your chances of success at landing in the right spot. So let's get right into it. The first thing I wrote down is look for real support, right? Be very careful with vagueness. You'll hear me say that a lot in the interviewing process. Ask specifically, what is your team system for scheduling showings on listings? What is your team system for inputting listings, right? What is your team system for marketing materials, helping with addendums, commission statements? See if they have exact answers. Don't allow them to be vague and sell you on the hype or some great split or a bunch of leads, right? Those are like trigger words that many team leaders or brokers want to use. Get into the systems in the process. If you don't do it there in the interview, waiting till you join the team can be too late, right? Then you've already switched over. You're trying to build momentum in your business. The last thing you want to do is have to restart again, right? So spend the time during the interview process. Second thing I wrote down, pay attention to the team leader. Ask yourself, is this a person who's actually in production still? Are the strategies they're teaching, they're promoting, are they working right now, right? If the team leader hasn't been in production in years, or is a sales manager who never produced at a high level, so they're looking for a salary position and not a successful agent themselves, how confident are you that those systems are going to work for you? Let's be honest, markets change quarterly, right? I've been doing this 15 years, and the way homes sold 10 years ago is very different. The techniques we used back then are very different than today. Are the fundamentals the same? Absolutely. But the little nuances of the market and how to use those fundamentals differ drastically from market to market. So is your team leader actually in production? And if the answer is yes, what does their production look like? Are they working with mostly buyers? Are they working a certain area of the state? Are they working mostly listings? Do they have a wide radius with a lot of different price range, showing that their techniques work in a lot of different markets in your state and a lot of different price ranges? Like, there's a great quote one of my early mentors told me: past performance is a great indicator of future success. If there are no results, it doesn't matter how good the presentation sounds, there's nothing to back up those techniques, right? So really look at that team leader's production. Go verify it, right? You're a member of the MLS. You can pull up their stats. You can look them up on Zillow to see what they are personally producing. Next thing I wrote down, ask about leads. Now, this is a big one because so many teams, their attraction is, we've got a bunch of leads for you. You don't have to do anything, right? Ask about their lead system. Is the team's lead system simply to give you a list of a bunch of online leads they bought that you could have bought yourself? Most of them are old, right? And the ones that are new are heavily saturated. They're buyer leads mostly that, lots of agents are calling on, chasing these same buyers, right? If you're just going to get plugged into somebody's lead pond, chasing hundreds, thousands of leads that they're just buying off the internet, is that truly a way that you're going to leverage and scale your business, right? Or does the team leader actually train you how how to list property yourself, how to generate your own leads so that you're not dependent on someone else's system, so that you, in fact, have the skills to take your business anywhere you want as you grow. There's a big difference there. Many teams are afraid to teach the real lead gen skills that an agent can use to list property at a high level and truly scale their business because they're afraid the agent will leave. They want that agent dependent on the lead pond and all the leads they provide and chasing their buyer leads, right? That's a trap where you're just chasing buyers. There's only so many hours in a day. You can never scale your business that way. You're always going to be capped at 15, 20 transactions if you're chasing buyers around with an extremely time-consuming job, right? But great teams know that there's two parts to developing an agent. One is teaching them the skills on how to list property, generate leads on their own, right? The second is then giving them the support so they can keep going. And the teams that can provide both of those know the agents will stay, because as long as you're helping agents grow and get to that next level, everybody wins. And that is the sign of a good team. So really dive into how that team looks at leads, provides leads, talks about leads, right? You want to be taught and trained the skills to do it on your own. And really ask what that looks like, right? Again, if it's vague, that's a red flag, which I'm going to get to in my next topic. But specific training modules, coaching modules, times they do it, team collaboration, call days, times they do it, right? Are those things scheduled and lined up? Is there a process for it? And then what does it look like? Is it in person? Is it virtual? Is it just watching videos? Or is it actually have you developing skills while you're trained so that you're building your pipeline while you're doing your training? These are all really important questions when you have the lead conversation with your team or even brokerage. Next thing I wrote down are, of course, the red flags. A couple big ones. Again, we talked about the word vague a lot. No clear systems, right? Just sounds like a lot of hype. They should be able to define their systems for each part of the process. Whether it's leads or support or onboarding, everything should have a clear system. Another red flag is if you ask to speak, or what are the names of the transaction coordinator I'll be working with, the listing coordinator I'll be working with, right? Ask them. If they can't share a name, that's a bit of a red flag. And I would follow that up. A great way to follow that up is, would it be okay if I talked with them before joining the team to understand a little bit about how they work and support, right? And then go ahead and have that conversation. Talk to that support team to see if you're aligned. Because if those are the people who are going to be supporting you and you're not aligned with them, then that would be a big red flag. So don't be afraid to go deep here. Again, once you switch that business over, you get that feeling in your stomach after a few weeks that it's not the right fit. It is very hard to make a change at that point. Not that you can't, but most agents won't, because now you've already started working with new clients and maybe put something under contract. You have some things moving. It's hard to just pick up and restart again. So don't be afraid to spend a little extra time on this interviewing process. If you're in Connecticut and you want to kind of break this down, talk this through a little deeper, I'm always happy to dive in and talk. You can call, text, email. If you're an agent in a different state, I'm connected with a lot of the top team leaders across the country. I'm happy to point you in the right direction, depending on what market you're in, to some great team leaders in your space. And most of all, if the content was helpful, it's something that you want a little bit more of, click subscribe. That helps me understand what is most impactful, what is the best use of your time as a viewer, as a learner, and for me as someone who's trying to teach and share things that have helped me in the past. Hope this helps.